What is up, guys? Happy Saturday. We are hanging out here for a quick video. We're going to go over my favorite sleepers. It's August 16th. You guys got fantasy drafts this weekend, next weekend, Labor Day weekend. It's all coming very, very soon. And I just want to share with you guys the fantasyfellowship.com real quick. Check it out. I got all my projections updated here. I got cheat sheets for you guys. You guys can actually click and get my projection document, which we're going to look at while we do the video. Redraft rankings, a lot of projected data studies here too. Just a ton of stuff in here, guys. All my data studies in here, the advanced metrics from last year, dynasty rankings, tons of stuff. Check out the fantasyfellowship.com. Done with that. Let's look at my favorite sleepers for this season, man. I'm going to open up my QB projections here. Let me kind of do some zooming in. And are we looking pretty good here? Let me see if I can make this a little bit better for us. Alrighty, let me one more tap there, one more tap. There we go. Okay, quarterback projections. This is with 4-point passing touchdowns, by the way. I've been kind of telling everybody that I don't really like to draft the quarterbacks in that 6 to 10 range because I just don't know how much upside I see of those guys finishing as top 5 QBs. I kind of want a top 5 QB, and I kind of have those guys: Lamar, Allen, Daniels, Hurts, Burrow. Those guys are all kind of so close. I don't really have that much of a preference. I do think Lamar is my preference of all the 5 of them. If I can't get a top 5 QB, though, who are the sleepers? It's Dak Prescott. That is my number one sleeper quarterback, and he's kind of going all over the board in your ADPs on ESPN, Sleeper, wherever you're drafting. He's well outside the top 10. I got him at QB6, man. I got him potentially leading the league in passing yards this year. 2023, he takes CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson and an older Brandon Cooks, and he lights it up, man. He was MVP runner-up that season, and he just threw it all over the field. They don't have a running game again in 2025. I think we're going to see Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. They're going to mix in some of these other characters, whether it's Kevontae Turpin or Jalen Tolbert. They have a couple other receiving backs, whether it's the rookie Ford or Javonte. I think they're going to throw the ball, and that's going to end up being their identity. So he's my preferred guy. Like, if I'm not going to get a top 5 QB, why am I taking Mahomes, Knicks, Fields? Like, I do like Fields. I'm not going to label him a sleeper, but I do think Dak Prescott's probably the biggest sleeper outside of the top, the consensus top 10, 12 quarterbacks. Again, I have him just leading everything in passing number. Like, he could pull off. I mean, if you squint and you look at the Cowboys offense, it's kind of structured like how the Bengals are. You've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the top 2 receivers on Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. You have a competent tight end. You have some receiving backs. We could see a Joe Burrow type season, maybe not with the rushing from Dak, but we could see huge numbers coming out of Dallas in the passing offense this season. So Dak's my number one sleeper quarterback. I do like Justin Fields. I'm not going to call him a sleeper, but if you are in a 10 or 12 team league, man, you could just wait for him. And so he technically is a sleeper because he does have top 5 upside at the position. So I like Fields quite a bit. And then after that, like, more so for like your super flex leagues, I think I'm fine with Justin Herbert. He's being drafted well outside the top 10. I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy that could be looking at a career year. I think he's going to go over his 25 passing touchdowns. And if he gets close to 30, that's what's going to push him into the top 10. He does have a nice rushing floor. Lawrence would be a really nice sleeper for me as well. And, Drake May, I think he's going to have the rushing numbers that we're looking for. I just don't know if I see the passing yards getting all that high. That's kind of keeping him down. But if he goes over 4,000 passing yards, I love his rushing floor. So I don't have a ton of sleepers at the QB position. It might be Anthony Richardson. If he does get the starting job week 1 and he's out there running the ball a ton, he might just be the biggest sleeper at the quarterback position. But let's talk about running back sleepers. And I'm not going to tell you like Amarian Hampton's a sleeper. I'm not going to tell you Travion Henderson is a sleeper. We're looking a little deeper here. I can't even tell you Jalen Warren is a sleeper. I do think Tyrone Tracy is a little bit of a sleeper. A lot of people were hyping up Cam Scatterbo, but it looks like he's not going to be a huge part of the offense to start the year, if at all, this season. So I do like Tracy. We'll mention him as the first one here. RJ Harvey, I can't really label him as a sleeper. We're going to keep going farther down the list. I do think Javonte Williams could be a sleeper target. We've already talked about Dallas here. And I just think he's probably the most competent back on Dallas that can do everything fine. He doesn't have the explosiveness that he once had, but he's a good pass protector. He's a good passing down back. He could be short yardage back. He kind of do everything. I think if I needed to put Javonte Williams as my RB2 week one, I'm not going to hate that. Now, after that is when we get into the more interesting guys, because as much as we like Trayvon Henderson in his receiving role, Ramondre Stevenson's still going to get carries and volume. Yes, I know he fumbles. Every running back can fumble. Ramondre's still probably going to be the guy that leads this team in carries, touchdowns. He's not going to be quite David Montgomery, but if you look at the profile, man, and he's getting a touchdown every other game, he's getting a pass or two per game. It could be a nice low-end RB2 type, profile for him. I will say, you see I have Brian Robinson ranked here at 31. I think Austin Ekeler is one of my favorite, especially in a PPR league. He's one of my favorite sleepers because he showed us last year that, when he was out there, man, he was just collecting passes, and there's not really a ton of pass catchers there in Washington. Yeah, you have Terry McLaurin, who just hasn't been on the field all summer. You have Zach Ertz and Deebo Samuel, man. You got two guys that we don't really know if we can trust them. Whereas Austin Ekeler last year, his first season with the Commanders, he did average 11 points in a PPR league. I think I'm fine with that coming off my bench, whether it's a bye week fill-in or an injury replacement. And for the most part here, man, he was going over double digits. And he did show that he could still make some big plays happen in the run game too. So if B-Rob's not working or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's not coming along yet, like Ekeler still could be trusted for 6 to 10 carries per game. And then, yeah, he is a part of Jaden Daniels' target tree here. He's going to catch 2 to 4 passes per game. And I just think if I need a pinch, Ekeler can still do it. We're not really drafting Jaguars running back. So like for me, ETN, Tank Bigsby, those guys are going to be kind of frustrating to own. The guy you probably want is Bashal Tutin, and I have him low here, but I don't really think he's going to be that much of a factor to start the year. We might see them try to force ETN and Bigsby, the first few games, and if they're not really impressing, they're going to go to Tutin, who at one point could be a starting running back too for us. And, with the trade deadline and ETN not really on the contract for next year, we could be looking at Bashal Tutin just getting more and more work as the year goes on. So he's one of my favorite running backs to put on my bench, as well as Austin Ekeler. I still think Jerome Ford here, and with the Quinshon Judkins stuff, yeah, he's back. He could sign his contract. He's still got to learn everything. He's missed all of training camp. Like, he might not be much of a factor week one. Sure, he could kind of ramp his way back into the workload and lead the team in carries at some point. But Jerome Ford was one of my top running backs when I looked at the numbers last year. Like, he was top of the charts in a lot of advanced metrics. He's a good back. He's a good pass catching back on a team that's going to have to throw the ball a ton. So Ford, he can easily beat out Judkins and Dylan Sampson for passing down work. He's valuable in a full PPR league. I think him and Ekeler are two great PPR candidates for your sleeper running back spot. The ultimate sleeper, which, I mean, if you're drafting best balls on DraftKings, Underdog, Drafters, Jordan Mason's not a sleeper. If you're drafting on ESPN, Sleeper, and some of the other redraft sites, Jordan Mason is a sleeper. He's an 8th round pick on the best ball sites right now. He's getting base work in this Vikings rushing attack. Like, him and Aaron Jones are a 1A, 1B. It's not Jordan Mason's a handcuff. Like, Mason will get, if there's a game where the Vikings say they're plus 7.5 to beat the Minnesota or the Chicago Bears or whatever, right? Like, I want to start Jordan Mason in those games because I think he's going to rack up volume. He's got a good chance at being the goal line back, and he can catch the ball too. In Aaron Jones, man, he's up there in age. The Vikings want to make sure that he stays healthy all year. So you think back to the times when the Packers had Aaron Jones and they gave Jamal Williams a bunch of run. They gave A.J. Dillon a try. They just had this other running back that was just siphoning carries and doing a lot of the dirty work here. And I think Jordan Mason's a good back. The Vikings paid him. It's a good system. The Vikings clearly want to run the ball. Jordan Mason, I want him in all my redraft benches because I do think he carries, weekly upside. Or if I needed to start Jordan Mason as my RB2 or my flex, I think I can get some points there. And if Aaron Jones goes down, like, we got a top 15 running back here. The other one that I do like on my bench is Rico Dowdle. People forget that he did run for 1,000 yards last year with Dallas, and he caught a lot of passes. Like, he was a He was a good running back last year. He averaged 12.6 PPR points per game. It took him a while to get going and for them to finally just give him the keys. But like Rico was running for hundreds of, 100-yard rushing games here. He's a volume runner too. Like he can handle the workload. He's a little back, but 5'11", 213. Like that's a good sized NFL running back. And I get it. Chuba Hubbard is a good back, but he's not a good receiving back. The numbers last year on Chuba Hubbard were pretty bad as a receiver. And the preseason indication, like they are mixing Rico Dowdle in with the ones and Bryce Young. So don't sleep on Rico Dowdle. He's a handcuff plus. He's kind of like Jordan Mason, where he's going to get some base work too. And if anything does happen to Chuba Hubbard, like we got the Panthers starting running back. Zach Charbonnet looked really good last night in the preseason game working with the ones, and Sam Darnold looked good too. Like they ran the ball down the Chiefs and they threw the ball consistently, and they want to run the ball and play smash mouth football. So I like Charbonnet as a sleeper on my bench. We could see Dylan, like if we don't get any news on Judkins soon, I think Sampson can continue to rise on my sleeper boards here. But those are some of the names that I'm really liking. And then my ultimate sleeper here is Dameon Pierce. I don't expect Joe Mixon to be healthy week one. We might not even see him until October this year. Like we need an update on that foot. What's going on there? I don't trust Nick Chubb. I think Woody Marks and Dare Ogunbowale are going to be pass catching backs. Dameon Pierce might be the sleeper with your last pick that you need on your bench. Other guys here, I'm going to shout out Kendre Miller, RB2 for New Orleans. Marshawn Lloyd looked good for the Packers. Had a really nice catch today. And then Jaden Blue for the Cowboys, we'll mention him too. So there's some running back sleepers for you guys. Going over to the wide receivers here, I'm going to scroll on down here and we'll see if we can find some guys for us. Some true wide receiver sleepers, about wide receiver 30 and up. I think Ricky Pearsall, he's not a sleeper anymore. Like he caught 3 for 42 in the preseason game earlier today with Brock Purdy. 49ers wide receiver 1. I know a lot of people like Jawan Jennings, but Ricky Pearsall is the wide receiver 1 for the 49ers. So you can get him in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, depending on where you're drafting, or if it's a 8, 10, 12 team league, whatever you need. I do like Ricky Pearsall a lot. The number 1 sleeper rookie receiver is going to be Matthew Golden this year. He's going to lead the Packers in pretty much every receiving category this year. He's the only one that's healthy right now, and he's probably the only one that can get open consistently on quick slants and things like that. I see him hitting the ground running week 1 and just being Jordan Love's number 1 target all season long. So Matthew Golden, Ricky Pearsall, those are 2 of my favorite guys. I'm even fine with them in my flex week 1, but you can get one or both of these guys on your bench right now, which is pretty good. The other rookie that I like a lot is Emeka Egbuka. He's going to hit the ground running too, because Godwin's not going to play week 1. Godwin might be out until October as well. I want one of these 2 guys, if not both, Golden and Egbuka, on my team. I'm going to label Deebo Samuel as a sleeper as well, because he's been very busy in training camp. He's been operating as the number 1 receiver for Jaden Daniels. Both him and Zach Ertz have been really good. We'll talk about Ertz later. But I think Deebo could be one of those guys that gets us off to a hot start in 2025 here. I'll mention Stephon Diggs. He's not really a sleeper, but he is kind of cheap for a wide receiver 1. Other sleepers here include Rashid Shaheed, man. If I had to ask you, like, who's going to score more fantasy points this year, Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed, I think it's closer than you think. And I know the quarterback play is going to be bad, but Rashid Shaheed's a big-time playmaker. He is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I think he qualifies as a sleeper for sure. Other sleepers here, I think a lot of people poo-poo Christian Kirk, but, he was good in Jacksonville in the slot, and I think the Texans want him to succeed here. And CJ Stroud likes throwing to the slot, so don't sleep on Christian Kirk. He's a good bench candidate. Demario Douglas, Josh Palmer. Palmer's not a slot guy, but Kirk and Douglas will be, those Wan'Dale Robinson's another sleeper. Those are those guys that I can just throw them out there, and I hope for 10 to 12 points. Other sleepers include Tyler Lockett, who's going to be in the slot for Cam Ward. Other sleepers, Keon Coleman, I think he could be looking better in year 2. Jaden Higgins is going to be outside, as a receiver for Houston. And then Keenan Allen, man, he could be one of those guys that gets off to a hot start too. I know he's older, but I think Justin Herbert and that relationship, man, they're gonna pick up, and he's going to be very valuable to start the season. Sleeper tight ends, man, this is probably my favorite spot because I usually punt on tight end. If I don't get a top one, I clearly want Mark Andrews. I think he's the best value on the board. everyone loves George Kittle. That's fine. I get it, but it still sucks paying a third round, fourth round pick for it. Mark Andrews is a seventh, eighth round pick. I kind of like that price. And I think he's top 5 tight end material this year. But the ultimate wait for tight end guy is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was good last year. He was fine, and he's older, but he was fine in a lot of the advanced metrics. He actually graded out higher than Travis Kelce in a lot of my metrics. He was tight end 8 last year, caught 66 passes, 91 targets, 654 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And again, no Terry McLaurin in camp right now. Ertz and Debo have been really the only guys that the offense has been passing to. So he's the ultimate sleeper tight end. And you can pair him with another tight end, whether it's Kyle Pitts, who's a sleeper tight end. Yeah, it's just another year of Kyle Pitts being a sleeper tight end, but he's dirt cheap. You can get him as a tight end too. You can go into the season with Ertz and Pitts and see what happens. We've talked about Dallas a lot. I think Jake Ferguson is a sleeper tight end. But Tyler Warren, I think between Warren and Loveland, I think I want Tyler Warren on my team. I think he has the potential to make more of an impact on his team, whereas Loveland, he's going to be the third, fourth target in most weeks here, and it might be hard for him to be consistent. But Warren has a chance to just be 4 or 5 quick catches per game because they want to get the ball out of Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson's hands very quickly. A guy like Tyler Warren pairs really nice with a guy like Zach Ertz. You can start Zach Ertz week 1 and then see what Warren does. I think Loveland also pairs well with Zach Ertz. These rookie tight ends both pair well with a veteran tight end like that. And you just kind of see what happens from there. Brenton Strange is the ultimate sleeper tight end because no one really knows him yet. But I've liked his game over the last 2 years. I think the Jags are going to feed him plenty of targets, and there's not really a ton of competition for him behind him. Chico Conco is another nice one here because I just think he's the second or third target in the Tennessee offense for Cam Ward. I have Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert kind of low, but AJ Brown's got a hamstring thing right now. If any Devonta or AJ Brown miss time, Dallas Goedert will be startable. And then Dalton Kincaid, man. Khalil Shakir remains out with a high ankle sprain right now. And I just think they could try Elijah Moore in the slot in Buffalo. Otherwise, that's kind of where Dalton Kincaid can eat. So Kincaid could be one of those guys that gets off to a hot start. I think, if I want to wait for Kincaid and Ertz, Kincaid and Strange, Pitts and Loveland, I kind of like waiting for 2 tight ends because, it really sucks when you take a tight end in the 5th, 6th round and they completely whiff and it's a burnt pick. I'd rather take a 12th and a 14th round pick on 2 tight ends and see what kind of sticks. And then you know how it goes. It's always the first week or two and a tight end comes out of nowhere that we're not talking about. Maybe it's Theo Johnson or Mason Taylor, something like that, right? So I like to kind of wait for tight end and see what comes to me. And there you go. That is my quick sleepers. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.